I'm going to open up the Town of Chincoteague regular meeting for July the 6th, 2020. If we can all please stand for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Your kindly heavenly Lord, we certainly praise you and thank you for all that you do for us, Lord. Lord, you let all of us live in the town that people, after they come here, Lord, just can't wait to get back next year. Lord, we pray for the many storms that's passed. Lord, we pray for the storm of the COVID virus, Lord, that'll pass, Lord, and may we be stronger. Lord, be with our country. Lord, be with the divisions, Lord. And Lord, may we look to life and look to the life that you give us and look at everybody's life, Lord, that it's important, and it certainly is, Lord. You give us strength, Lord. May we care for one another, love one another. Lord, be with our military, our men and women, Lord. Just give them strength, Lord, to go through each and every day, Lord. Our employees, Lord, that help to keep this town what it is, Lord, and the way they keep it up, Lord. And Lord, we know sometimes they get bashed, Lord, but Lord, they put their energy in, Lord, and Lord, we can see what it is here, Lord, that people just want to come here. And Lord, just go in and guide us, direct us, each and every person on this town council, Lord, and new members, Lord. We praise you for them that are willing to serve, Lord, and just give them the strength, Lord, to do the way you'd have them to do. For we ask these things in Jesus' precious name, and for his sake, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome to the general public that's here, all four of you, in our in-person COVID meetings. So I'll entertain a motion for the adoption of the night's agenda.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
If I can I have a few minutes at the end that we can discuss something that's in the handbook?
Yes, ma'am. Certainly.
You need to know what it is?
I guess, is it something
It's
that...
not private, I mean,
Is it something that you can use your time?
I'd like I'd like opinions of the council.
Okay. Yeah, we can, if the council approves, we can put it on 13A.
Make a motion, we approve it.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion to adopt tonight's agenda. It's been properly seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We do have some public comment that the town manager will read for us, I will believe. Okay, well, let's do this. We have 4 participants tonight. We'll start with Greg. Mr. Thomas?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I wanted to share well, first, I want to thank you for your service to Chincoteague. I mean, it's a wonderful community. We love it here. We're not citizens, but we do have a couple residences on the island. One of the major benefits of having a place in Chincoteague is the water. We have we live at 3442 Ridge Road, and we're right on the Assateague Channel, which is absolutely beautiful. One of the beauties of that is having the access to the Memorial Park ramp for our boats. It is close by. We don't have to go down to Merritt Harbor. East side is a little bit too small for our boats, so we always go over to Memorial Park. With that being said, on Saturday, June 23rd, we took our pontoon boat over to the Memorial Park, attempted to launch it. When we got there, it was noted there is a sign that says end of the ramp. It's been there forever. Unbeknownst to us, we launched the boat, we went down the ramp, and we needed a little bit more water, which in the past, we've actually just gone down a little bit further off the end of the ramp, off the end of the ramp, got the boat off, and then able to pull our Jeep out with the trailer on the back. Unbeknownst to us, when we did this on June 23rd, was that we went to the end of the ramp, we gave it a little bit more gas to get off the ramp, and we hit something. Had no idea what we hit. With that, got off, got out of the water, checked it out. Our pontoon trailer was sideways in that ramp. We got the pontoon boat off, got it out to the side. There was another resident that was there at the time. He said, let me call Vernon Merrick. Vernon came right over. He said, you know what? You take your family out in your boat. I'll take care of this. He was kind enough to bring a front end loader in there, got that trailer out of the water, and put it on where the softball field is. Unfortunately, that trailer is totaled. I mean, really, there's nothing, they had to total it. And so what happens now is that, you know, there was no signage there for that boat, that wheel block. And it just feels as though that this is a $5,250 trailer that I'm seeking reimbursement from the town council for because of, I think, the lack of that signage. So that's my case. I don't know if you have any questions or.
Well, that's not something we can act on
No,
tonight.
I understand. I just didn't know if you had anything further to clarify on about this situation.
No, the stop has been taken up, which doesn't help your trailer issue.
What is that, sir?
The ramp stop has been taken away.
Oh, it has. Oh,
Um,
that's,
So it's not gonna help your trailer, but
why was it taken away, may I ask?
because of a lot of people were having problems. Even though we were told that ramp stops like that are standard to be put in, so people don't back their trailers completely in the water, which
Sure.
we've had happen.
Mm-hmm.
That ramp in particular, we've had people, because of the water levels there, you know, they have a problem getting their boats on and off.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought it best to take that up because it was causing problems with people being able to launch and recover there.
Understand. Well, appreciate the time before the
I
council.
guess I would have a question. What year is the trailer that got destroyed?
2013. Yes, 2013.
2013. And would you know what the value of that, but just say you took a 2013 trailer,
$5,250.
that's a used trailer?
Oh, that's a new one.
Right, I'm sorry, but you just- you-
Unfortunately for this boat,
Mm.
and I tried all over the place to get a trailer to replace it, a used one, it's just impossible to find.
No, and I get that, but I'm saying, like I said, but if you go, if Robbie runs into your car,
Sure.
you got a 2002 Ford
Appreciate it,
Fusion,
yeah.
we can't get you a 2020 Fusion. You understand what I'm
That's
saying?
fair.
And
That's
you get
fair.
that.
Absolutely.
So maybe you could find out what I mean, I know, especially for a pontoon boat, which is a bear to get on and off anywhere, anyway. A lot of people just go with different boats on Shingatee because they've had so much trouble getting them on and off. You know,
We've just never had a problem there before.
Sure.
Before this block was there, so, but I appreciate your comments.
But you
about
said
that.
you said it is a 2013.
That's correct.
What was the length on it?
The 22 foot.
22 foot.
Load right.
Load rate,
Load
thank
right, right? Yes, sir.
Load rate for a pontoon boat.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you, Council.
All right, Mr. Thomas Jr.
And that's, Greg was just with me, so we're.
Oh, okay.
In case we needed a tag team.
I just go down.
Still any guy.
Ms. Farley?
Tell me if you can't hear me. I don't have the loudest voice. I'll take my mask off. First of all, I want to congratulate all the people that are that ran at the same time I was running, and welcome Bill McComb. We had a good time on election day. He ate all the food.
Did you need all the food? Yeah.
And we almost froze to death, but Robbie rescued us by putting us out of the wind. And I had a great time running. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I learned a lot about the island, a lot about the people, and a lot about what the issues are that people are either publicly or privately concerned about. One of them that I think is fairly simple is their lack of ability to reach council members. According to the Facebook, the website page, the only way to contact a council member is to send a snail mail to the town manager. I know you all do not want to be overloaded with anything, but I'm wondering if it's possible to give, or maybe it already exists, each council member a town email address, and at least people would have a way of reaching you. What you do with that is up to you, obviously, or up to whoever picks up those messages. But people were really concerned that they had no way of reaching council members, except for Denise, who seems to carry all of the messages back and forth between the public and council, and she does a great job of it. But I think people really want to share their opinions. I know it could be a pain. I'm just running for council. I had so many messages, some of which never got answered. But I would ask that you look into a better way of communicating to the people that elect you, what their concerns are, what their issues are, and what you do with it. They will at least have had an opportunity to send you their information. I also want to thank the mayor for the way he personally approached the pandemic here on the island. The executive order closing accommodations, I know, was very hard for you to make. It impacted a lot of people, but it made, I think, a huge difference. And between you and Brian, who have continued to remind people how to be safe, I think it is what has kept our hopefully still low numbers, I know, on the island, and made this a pretty safe place to visit for our visitors. So thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Pat, not to rat us out or rat any phone numbers out, but I know down to the harbor, our numbers, whether they still are or not, they were totally listed for the public there. Yeah, I better know what up on the boards.
There's somebody sent me an email with everybody's email address on it. I didn't want to put that out because that was an internal committee email. I think if it's just listed on the website with your names and a town email address, which seems very simple, and then people can reach you.
And we also can, like you say, tell the town that those of us that do not care about being contacted, that you can give out our phone number. I know that's.
Yeah, I put mine out on social media a few days ago,
Yeah.
both the phone number and an email address. So.
That's great, and people, it really makes a difference.
But I see what you're saying. If it was in one spot where people
If it
could
could
simply
just,
click.
there's a
and-
list of town of department heads and their email address.
I agree.
If it could just be there, because not everybody knows it, or does
Everybody's on Facebook. Right.
Exactly. So I think that would be
Good point.
helpful, and people were feeling pretty scared and detached from the town for a while, which I think was understandable because the offices were closed and the communication was somewhat limited. I just think it's what people want and what the town should do. So.
Thank you. Paula, did you just sign in? You didn't want to speak?
Oh, no, I just signed in.
Okay,
So
you're
you
good.
know I'm a citizen and I'm listening to you.
Okay, no problem. Everybody signed in tonight, that's first. Since it was only 4 of them. But we're gonna have everybody speak, 100% participation, never had that before. All right, so Mike has a letter he's gonna read into the minutes for us.
And I'll read the entire letter. sort of an introduction. Mr. Mayor and council members, after calling the town office about public participation at a council meeting, I was advised that due to the limited seating, I could email my comments and concerns and request them to be read at the meeting. I am requesting that this be read aloud at the council meeting on Monday, July 6, 2020. I will hand deliver a copy to Mike Talbert in case there are any technical glitches, which was delivered yesterday. My concern is with the unequal enforcement of Governor Ralph Northam's order for Phase 1. My church, the Lighthouse Fellowship, located on Maddox Boulevard, was staked out and entered and found to have 16 people in attendance. This was in violation of the governor's order. The pastor was not issued a warning and was summoned to appear in court for that violation. Later on the 15th of April, the police force staked out at the church to make sure that we were in compliance with the order, and they were. My problem is the unequal enforcement of the order. The town and the public were informed by social media, and I believe that the town was informed by phone that there would be a peaceful demonstration at Leonard Park. Must I remind you that at the time the demonstration was to take place, the governor's Phase 1 order was still in force. The order stated that no more than 10 people can congregate inside or outside a building or a recreational area. After seeing how the order was enforced, I believe we have lost the core values that were instilled in us growing up on Chincoteague. There were 3 values. 1, you do not talk or take action against the church, any body of believers in Jesus Christ. 2, the fire company. 3, the Masonic Lodge. I believe this was done against the church as they were an easy target. The preacher from Chrisfield and the membership comprising of vainly come-heres and no one of any importance. These individuals felt by targeting them they could make an easy example. I would like an explanation on the following. How can a peaceful protest occur at Leonard Park comprising of more than 10 people? Why did the town help organize this event which had perimeter barriers installed? This demonstration was in violation of the governor's order. Not only did the town help with this, but they also called in reinforcements from the state police and various other law enforcement organizations that stood by and did nothing. I feel the town needs to apologize to the preacher and the congregation of Lighthouse Fellowship Church for the unequal enforcement of the governor's orders. The students at Chincoteague High School could not walk across the stage at graduation, but the protest had people obviously not social distancing and breaking the 10-person limit. Can you please answer my concerns? I feel the town was in a situation where they felt they would be judged as being discriminatory against the people that were attending the protest. Above is my concern. Looking forward to your comment and apology to the church and pastor. Ernest Dale Holston, President.
Alrighty, well,
Mr. Mayor, can I address that, or?
sure, Gene Wayne, keep it brief.
It will be. Like I said, I've been in constant contact with Spencer Morgan. He's been very helpful and stuff too. I believe that charge is going to be dropped.
That's not what the letter.
Well, and to the other point. Okay, I'll address both. Both are First Amendment rights. They had the right to have their meeting, and they had the right to have their protest. I do appreciate that police department going there and meeting with that young lady. She does not have a mean bone in her body, and she had pastors there that prayed. And like you said, we prepared for the worst and prayed for the best, and the Lord blessed us. I do appreciate meeting with them. We need to have peaceful protest. That's important. But we also have, but both are First Amendment rights. He's right, and Ernest Dale's right on that one. Both have First Amendment rights. And the First Amendment is very short. It's speaking and the freedom of religion. Both of them.
Okay. Well, Mike, you, myself, and Brian, I guess, and Robbie will meet on this, and we'll pin a response to Mr. Ernest Dale, so we can address that situation. Alrighty. No other public comment, no more letters. Moving on. We have staff updates. Robbie?
Yes, sir. As usual, I guess the police department
update is in everybody's packet, I believe. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer anything I could on anything.
We still plan on having your motorcycle run for the kids or something. I guess I should say something.
We've discussed it this week. Last Wednesday, I had all of my employees except for one was working, and we tossed it around. And I think right now we're looking to have the poker run itself. Maybe change it up to a traditional poker run where you have 5 stops around. I'm thinking that would be better. I mean, according to the governor's order right now, we can have 250 people gather, but you still have to have social distance and everything. So I'm thinking if we do the traditional poker run, it's more people that ride in groups anyway, so it'll spread it out over a longer time, so we won't have everybody coming back here to eat. I don't plan on doing any auction or probably not street dance this year. Basically, with everything that the town's been through, I can't. I just don't have the heart to go to anybody and ask for any donations this year. This town has been good to all of us, police department, town of Chincoteague and everybody. I told the guys we're going to have it more or less as a thank you for the 16 years. I believe this would be 16. It's more or less a thank you for everybody, for the years past, what they've done. I think we'll be good as far as our, money that we, help the community out with this year and stuff. If anything, I have heard some people from the public have, said they kind of like to have a T-shirt. So I think we're going to try to make up some T-shirts, maybe with a COVID-19 and a mask rider on it or something, something a little bit different, and give them out at the at the poker run, or we may just charge a fee just enough to cover the T-shirts. But that's what we've been discussing right now. So, and I still haven't talked with Mr. Clark yet, about also setting it up for that's usually where we have the food.
Tent's already there.
Oh yeah, that's it. I was just thinking about that the other day. I said you don't have to remove the tents in again. So, but yeah, that's our plans right now. I think the street dance would maybe be a little bit too much, getting everybody together.
I guess how do you make out the July 4th? I know we had a lot of fireworks. Were you able to?
Yes,
just,
it was very busy.
Yeah.
We had extra officers on working that night, and yeah, I mean fireworks are a problem, and we're going to have to, I guess at some point, address it. It's a Class 1 misdemeanor in the state of Virginia, so that's 12 months in jail and up to a $2,500 fine.
But mainly warnings, though, I'm assuming?
Well, yes.
Good.
Yes, and that's the way we've done it every year.
I mean, especially this year. Don't get me wrong, especially this year.
I knew this year was going to be busier with fireworks and stuff, because before, we've had them after the town shoots theirs off, some before, the town and the fire company shoot theirs off. But I figured this year, with that being canceled, it was going to be a lot more, and it was. But as I told Ms. Farley, one local from Friday through Sunday night, because they let them off Friday night, they let them off Saturday night, they let them off Sunday night. And as far as I know, I saw somebody made a comment that one house off of Ridge Road, I think got one night and then set some off the next night. But when the officer went there was nobody around in that house. But as far as I know, there were no repeats. Because I told the guys, I said, hey, if you go there and warn them, and you get called back, it's Class 1 misdemeanor, but hey, we're going to have to charge it. But there were no repeats, and there was only one local.
And anybody that thinks fireworks can't be dangerous needs to ride down Main Street and look what happened there to Dobay Lane. If that had been a structure, that'd have been a lot of property damage.
Yes. I'm hoping maybe next year we can, get on top of it a little bit more, and maybe get the chamber in with us, and the council, police department, and all of us, even if we had to get a holiday sign and put out there, no fireworks, Like I said, the ones there, it's not all fireworks that are, against the law. You can have your little boxes that shoot up the sprinkler or stars, you know, Roman candles, things like that, whirligigs, sparklers and stuff like that. It's the ones that go up in the air and explode. You know, they're the ones that are illegal. You have to have a permit in Virginia, and you have to be insured and everything, you know, in order to do that legally. So that's the ones that we're worried about.
Any other questions for the chief? Thank you, Rob.
Thank you all very much.
Mr. Spurlock? Get some audio visuals.
Yeah, we haven't rehearsed this, so bear with us.
Hey, that's nice.
That's our new water source.
Yeah, it was. That looks like Hawaii.
There you go. Mr. Mayor, Council, you have my monthly report. Be happy to entertain any questions you may have on what you have in front of you. I will spare reading it to you.
When's NASA supposed to have the filtering system online?
Seeing that it started out, it was no later than the end of March, then it was no later than the end of June, and now it's kind of unknown. The COVID whole situation has drastically impacted operations on the base. System itself is essentially complete. They need to run power to it, they need to shock the wells, they need to flush the filter medium. So, you know, they've done 90% of it. When they're gonna do the other 10%, I can't answer that question.
I have that update when I do mine. What's the filtration plant?
There you go.
I'm also probably going to look into, I know we've bought property just to have a backdoor well system. Like I said, that is one of our big things, us providing safe water to our island. But like I said, I'm also when I'm saying deep wells, the 900 foot, like Tangier has. I'm looking into that, because even theirs is served at Tangier very well in the middle of Chesapeake Bay, and they don't even have to have reverse osmosis. So, like you say, even if we do a small well just to try it out to see, you know, where we can hit that aquifer.
And it depends on who you talk to.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people think that freshwater lens kind of ends at Tangier.
I think there's technology
Yeah.
that is way surpassed people's. Let's hear.
But talking with a state geologist, Scott Bruce, I don't know if you know Scott.
Right, yeah.
And Jimmy Bundit, who probably knows as much as the state geologist, but they don't think they'll find any fresh water at that depth when you come this far east. But you're right, the only way you can determine that is to do a test run.
And the money, like I said, you find out too, where if there's a system and what kind of water it is into it, they allow deep well injections for sewer systems, so if you can't get water out of it, maybe we can put water back in it.
Okay, I'd like to take a couple of minutes, since I've been not here live with y'all for a couple of months, just to update you on a couple of things we're working on. Again, the monthly report you've got in your package. I'm not going to sit here and reread it to you, but any additional questions, I'll be happy to entertain. Smith Street site work. If you haven't been over to Smith Street for a while, things have changed drastically. The parking lot's in. All that stone you're looking at there is part of the stormwater management system. The part closest to the parking lot is what they call a micro infiltration trench. It's supposed to capture the majority of the runoff in the water. Any overflow goes over to these other gravel areas here. You can see them like at all corners. To absorb what water it absorbed by the trench and treat it. In the worst case, we may actually wind up putting a little, very little bit of it out in the stormwater system. The good news about Smith Street, the original estimate we got from our local contractor was a little over $200,000 to do the site. We talked with another contractor, Jody Brittingham, if y'all know Jody. And Jody, Public Works, kind of teamed for this effort. We did a lot of the hauling of the excess material, did some minor concrete work, and end of the day, we got the 200,000 down to 80,000. Only thing really left to do over there for this phase of it is the paving and the curb and a little short section of sidewalk. Again, just another microbial retention area. Under that stone gravel is a sand peat moss mix, and I'm gonna have a challenge of getting plant material to grow in, but we'll see how that works out. More of the same, part of the end of the trench in microbial retention. Other thing we've been putting the finishing touch on is the Sarbanes bike path. Tried to do a lot better job of identifying it there by the Dollar General store, because it seems a lot of people didn't know it was there. If you haven't been down Coach's Lane recently, it's changed drastically. And that continues on out. And across Atlantic Boulevard, where we have the rapid flashing beacons, both there, Dollar General, and over on Chicken City Road. Good news is people are actually using that thing, which kind of surprised me, because we haven't really started our campaign to advertise it yet. Tomorrow night, there's a Public Works Committee meeting you're aware of. Part of the meeting agenda is to put the finishing touches on the Wayfinder plan, it's called, the signage. And Mike, can you throw that map up in the middle of all this, or do we need to do that at the end?
If you get in, I apologize, I just ran past all of it.
Yeah, we'll talk about the map.
Okay, well, you want to finish off on that distance? I got
Yeah,
included.
yeah. Yes, absolutely, that's what I wanted to do.
I lost my AD license.
Other thing we've been working on pretty diligently for a while now, believe it or not, we've got close to 280 fire hydrants on the island. All of them need maintenance, exercise, and then obviously painting. This is a before and after shot for you. The old school way of doing these hydrants was to paint them with a paintbrush. Good day, we'd get 8 done, and they looked like they'd been painted with a paintbrush. We went out and invested approximately $600 in airless spray equipment. And now, on an average a day, we'll do between 25 and 30 hydrants. So, I'd say it was a pretty good investment for $600. The other thing you're obviously aware of, we completely rehabbed the water tank. Not only paint, a lot of structural repair. Good news, the best news out of this whole system, the exterior of the tank still had lead in the paint, which was all that containment system you see going up, because we told you lead, contained the lead. So as it stands right now, the elevated water tank is entirely lead-free. And while we're on the water system, we have recent occasions this year pumped out over 1 million gallons into the distribution system, which is kind of unheard of for this time. You know, we may do that some years on the 4th of July. Like to do it of 3 times already this year. Gives you a good indication of how many visitors we have. All right, now we'll see if we can find the map.
Maybe.
Sarbanes documents for it. I probably do. See street sweeper up there, we're expecting delivery of our new street sweeper this week.
We need it.
Yeah, we do, sorely. Well, forget it.
Sarbanes documents,
Sarbanes
sir.
documents right there.
Yep. And then look under Clark Nixon CN all the way up top. All the way up in the folder, there you go. And there's a map, something.
Let's do what?
Oh,
Yep, up there.
Hatch.
This is a map, bicycle safety guide. You can't really see all of it here, but it was all part of this Sarbanes effort. Part of the Wayfinder plan, so we'll be doing final edits tomorrow night and going to print and distribution with this. The only missing part of the Wayfarer plan, we're going to purchase and install the actual street signs. And, as it stands right now, kind of teaming with the Chamber of Commerce to install QR codes on a lot of these signs. You know what QR codes are. I see a lot of shaking your head, but basically you'll go up to the sign, scan it with your smartphone, and it'll tell you all where you are, where the businesses are, where to go get something to eat, that kind of stuff. So last I heard, the Chamber had intended to host the website for us and help us develop it.
Be good. Have we given Fish and Wildlife updates on this?
We do our annual report, yes. We've done it in March. I touch base with Bob Liffle occasionally and keep him posted. Bob said, do anything you want to, but try to give me some of the money back. Okay, thank you.
All righty, thank you, Harvey. Mr. Talbert, you're up.
I'll be brief. Mr. Rush has a good report for you. First off, let me tell as far as we will take care of that tomorrow. That's not hard to do, and we certainly should be able to do that tomorrow. Harvey just gave you a Smith Street project update. That went very well, and I know in your packet I put that it would be done by the end of July. He told me Friday it was done, at least the site work. So, water supply updates. Talking to Jeremy Eggers at NASA. They have, of course, postponed or canceled their construction of the filtration plant back in March. They have continued to test the finished water at Wallops and Chincoteague's finished water, and they have found only the minute traces of PFAS and PFOS that were there before. Really of no consequence in the regulated PFAS, and only very minute concentrations of the ones that the EPA doesn't regulate. They expect to restart construction this month of the filtration plant. They said they will have the filtration plant done by the end of September, done, tested, and operating. That will allow us, once it's tested and operating, we could reopen possibly our shallow wells. However, until they do some raw water samples before and after on those wells, and we have good confidence that we're taking all that out, we're going to keep those closed. It just makes sense. I want to see this thing operate for a while and prove that it can do what it's supposed to do, because it wouldn't be the first plant that was built that didn't do what it's supposed to do. The next item, health insurance. Anthem has said they're going to give us 15% back because of the COVID situation. So we will pass that along. We'll get some of it back because the town pays some of the health insurance bills, and certainly our employees who pay some are certainly going to get their 15% back as well. I won't bore you with the building and zoning numbers. They're down a little bit as far as revenue, just a little bit from last year. But Kenny continues to do a good job there. The website has a new feature. You may not have noticed it. It's there under the ordinance button. We put a section there that says ordinance changes. So ordinances that are being considered or had recently changed will be there. We'll put them up for about 6 months so that if you want to see something, what the town, I constantly ask, what did the town ever do about this? What did they do about bamboo? What did they do about, scooters? We're going to put them on there so that everybody can go to them and they don't have to weed through the entire code to see what was changed. All of you know that we wrote a response to 4 supervisors concerning the CARES Act funding. That went over. I got a call from our District 1 supervisor who said he liked it. He had to talk to the chairperson there, and she was going to look into it and see what could be done. The county put their small business program on today live, and I'm sure they have hundreds of applications already, so I'm not looking for them to do anything else at this point. We continue to search for a full-time town attorney. We recently had some work done by Mr. Tommy Dix. He did a good job for us and sent the documents back right away. So I asked him, and he said he would be willing to look at jobs like this for us in the future. So we'll keep Mr. Dix busy with whatever comes along for the time being. The Virginia Commission for the Arts Grant came in, $4,500. It's 100% match, so we'll be matching that with $4,500, and of course that goes to the CCA. And they have been notified that the grant was successful. Just to comment, of course, again, tonight we're on YouTube and Facebook. The comments we've got on this, and the reason I put it in here is the comments we've got so far after one meeting with this were all positive. The one comment we had was about rustling papers. But when everybody wearing a mask, we have to turn the volume up so you can hear regular speech. So, but the comments are positive so far, and I just put a little blurb down at the bottom there. We are a little bit behind in collecting business licenses this year. That would be expected due to the situations we've been in. And anybody has any questions, I'm glad to answer. But if not, Brian has a report for you on emergency services.
All right. Mr. Rush?
Good evening. You have my report, so if you have any questions, I'll entertain them. I'll add just a few short things under the emergency management section. There will be a meeting tomorrow, virtually of course, in reference to the July 15th rocket launch of the L-129, which is the DoD satellite that we don't know a whole lot about, but it's on the Minotaur rocket. So we'll understand what the safety areas and boundaries are with that. The launch is at 8:30 in the morning, so any planning that we'll need to do for that, we'll take into consideration after the meeting tomorrow. And I know I mentioned in the report, we are just slightly down 19 less than in the same period last year, but starting July out with a bang. Today's the 6th day of the month, and we're already at 25 runs for the month. So.
You will pay for those 2 months shutdown.
No, definitely.
You will pay for them.
Any questions?
Have you got both ambulances in service, or is one of them down?
No, we had one down for a while today, for maintenance. But yeah, they're in service. Staffing them, some days we're doing really good with that. Other days we're coming up short. Just because, again, the volunteers with the COVID, most of them are older participants, so
Right.
it's not safe for them to come out. We do have one that's every now and then coming out to help us, but certainly that's put a damper on the volunteer side on the EMS. But the fire guys are doing an awesome job coming out. With all the accidents, fires, and stuff that we're having, they're certainly staffing up some equipment. So.
All righty.
Alrighty.
Thank you, Mr. Rush. All righty. Next on the agenda was committee reports, but we have already addressed the only committee that we had, the ordinance committee, when we met at our work session. We did discuss that and voted on it, all that good stuff, so we don't need to rehash it. So moving on to agenda item number 8 is the adoption for the minutes for our June 1st and June 18th council meetings. Do I hear I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion and properly seconded. All those in favor of adoption of our minutes, say aye. Aye. Thank you all. Number 9 is a selection of our vice mayor, which is kind of an unusual thing to go along with this COVID year. Normally, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Richardson, since you've been here the longest, usually it's the highest vote getter is nominated for that post. But that is in a normal election when you have the 3 seats up for 4-year terms. This year we were kind of unusual. We had a seat that was unopposed for a 2-year term. He happened to get the highest votes. So, but it's completely up to council on.
You can nominate anybody,
You can
no matter which
nominate
term you
anybody.
are.
It doesn't, by the town code, it does not have anything to do with the highest votes or anything like that. So it's completely up to
Are you
you
ready?
guys.
Are you ready for a nomination?
That, Mr. Mayor, that is why I said we need to go by the code book, even though it's a 2-year term.
Right.
The vice mayor is elected every 2 years anyway.
Correct.
So the 4-year term, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter.
But personally, I believe we need to go by the code. And this year, it's got nothing to do with the amount of votes. It's got to do with how I feel. And this person has only been with us about 6 months, and I feel that the knowledge that he has, I would like to nominate Mr. Chris Bott.
I'll second it.
All right. Well, that's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of Chris Bott being vice mayor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Chris Bott, welcome aboard.
Thank you much.
You thought I was gonna get bad, didn't you?
No, it wouldn't have mattered to me one way or the other. Good, I can take off.
All right, go ahead.
Just kidding.
Yeah, 'cause
Promise
he's
I'll
not
be here
on-
every time the door's open.
Chris, he's not on many committees this year. But
Next up is the committee assignment, since you brought it up. Is there any, anything that anybody would like to change? Any, anything that you see that, any difference, Some of them meet, some of them don't. Some of them have a lot of meetings, some of them very scarce.
What is the liaison committee? I was just curious. I didn't know we had one.
Well, and I would need some adjustment for that, because I was never told what the liaison committee was.
So, moving on.
I just got put on the liaison committee. I believe it's whenever there's a governmental meeting, like with the Fish and Wildlife,
I
NASA.
got you.
That's what it's for.
that's
I
correct.
got you.
So
All right.
we two would be the ones that would go over there.
I was just curious what it was.
I believe that's what it is.
It is.
And certainly, if there's any meetings that come up and that you guys would like to attend, like with Fish and Wildlife, I know that, I don't think they have a new refuge manager yet. They do have a new park service superintendent. So certainly, we'll either invite the superintendent down to introduce themselves to us. But usually, I say usually, we were having monthly meetings over at the Wildlife Refuge to discuss things. Community leader meetings, they were called. And if you guys want to attend those, you're more than welcome. It was very enlightening to what's going on over there, the processes they have to follow and all that kind of stuff. So we will keep you involved. Any further discussion? If not, we can move on. Next on the agenda is a proclamation in recognition of the 25th anniversary of the Chincoteague Island Library. Mike, would you please read that for me, since I can't pronunciate the name?
Proclamation in recognition of the 25th anniversary of the Chincoteague Island Library. Whereas on July 4th, 1995, a group of civic-minded residents responding to the needs of a young and growing community met with the objective of establishing a library in Chincoteague Island, Virginia. And whereas these determined individuals founded the library in the historic downtown area of Chincoteague with a mere 3,600 volumes and opened its doors on July 4th, 1995. And whereas from these modest beginnings, the library's collections grew along with the community to the point that a new addition was erected in 2009, and now with a current collection of 12,775 items in the collection. And whereas over the years, the library has offered programs for all ages, outreach services, literacy initiatives, job search and small business resources, expanding information services, computer use, internet access, and other means of community support and enrichment. And whereas the library has continued to serve the people of Chincoteague Island, Accomack County, and visitors from near and afar as a place of learning, culture, and community. Now, therefore, I, John Arthur Leonard, by the virtue of the authority vested in me on behalf of the Chincoteague Town Council and as the mayor of the town of Chincoteague, do hereby extend to the Chincoteague Island Library sincere gratitude to its board, staff, and volunteers, past and present, for their accomplishments, commitment, and dedication to the town of Chincoteague, its residents, and many visitors. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the town of Chincoteague to be affixed this 6th day of July, 2020. John Arthur Leonard, Mayor.
Thank you, Mike. If anybody needs it, the library does. They do a wonderful job. And we will probably be visited by Nancy Cunningham again to give us an update on what's going on. All righty. Moving on, in your packet, there's a new thing that we have that Mike brought to us is a monthly financial report. Did you want to discuss that with us, or just have it in the packet? Or any answers? Does anybody have any questions about this financial report that Mike come up with?
This has not got anything to do with the check register. This is what has been expended out per month. This
It's
is
just like a
correct?
snapshot of
Of what you
the
spent per month.
the
Without
town.
going into detail, what I wanted to do, and I apologize, because this being the last month of the year, it's more complicated than a regular month would be. But I wanted to give you one-page snapshot of, this is what we've been doing, this is where we stand, this is what our funds look like. It's not going to stay in this form. The ladies in the office did a great job of putting this together, and I told them what I wanted. But we'll tweak it until it's as simple and as clear as it can be. This is not as simple and as clear as I'd like to see it. I'm not a financial guy, so I'm a layman, and I wanted a layman to be able to understand it.
It might be a problem since he's an engineer.
You can raise the bar up and down.
Sorry, Mike, I just had to do that.
But what that's what I'd like it to be, and I'd like everybody to have at least a summary of where we stand on a monthly basis, and I will get you as much detail or lack of detail as you desire. If you want to see the check register, if you want to see the fund balances, if you want to see the GL balance, the budget versus actual, we can do all that, and I can put it in your packet, but I don't want your agenda to be 400 pages long either.
Right.
But if you tell me what you want, we'll tell what you'd like to see, what everybody likes.
Well, you come into it kind of, well, I don't know if you knew, the old packets that we used to get in the blue folders, they would always have the monthly LGIP, they would have them, and they would have check registries, sort of haphazard, but some checks to see what was going on. But this is much easier to read than those.
Well, we can do those as well if you like. It's
Yeah, that's what we used to get.
Okay. We'll put that in next month.
All right.
And this is a once a month, not every meeting.
And it doesn't need to be on the agenda. The other reports we got were just in our packets.
Yeah,
Okay?
just in the pocket.
Yeah, just in the pocket. If we have any questions, we can ask you when we have the staff updates.
Sure enough.
So do you have a idea, this, I had a little struggle with this guy here. Did we finish in the red or in the black for last year? You see, there was
Well,
like two numbers.
Yes, it depends on how you look at it, and that's why this is a bad month. We bought a firehouse last year. That wasn't budgeted. There was a budget amendment done for that. When we did, we increased the revenue side of the budget. Okay, and we transferred money from savings, general fund savings, to the current budget to handle that purchase, okay? So the two numbers you see, one of them reflects the transfer, one of them doesn't, and that's an accounting thing. I'm not an accountant, but I talk to accountants, and they tell me that's an accounting thing because that money we transferred was not a new revenue, it can't show up as a revenue on the right-hand line here.
Right.
It shows up in our budget because it has to be accounted for, but it's not a revenue. And therein lies the what's hard to look at. The revenue line that I showed there, the year-to-date on the revenues, very top number, that is the actual money that you took in as revenues. The number all the way to the left of that is $6,632,000. That shows the number with the transfer that we did.
Oh, I got you, so that's at 600,000.
So, yes, so that, and that's why I say I apologize, this is not as clear-cut as I'd like it to be. But you just can't do something with accounting sometimes, you know.
All right, any further questions?
I think at some point we need to talk about the firehouse too. I mean,
Yeah,
really,
it's-
really
it's-
do. I just see a correlation. When I'm pointing over here, you know where I'm talking. I just see a correlation there.
Well, the ANPDC is actually coming up here soon, and we're gonna do a community meeting, hopefully at the firehouse, about the plans that the engineers come up with for the firehouse.
That would be good.
And Denise is in charge of the firehouse committee, so she's working on that with the ANPDC, and we will let council know and town know when that's gonna be, so everybody can be involved. But with that, they are actually working on it, the ANPDC, because we have a grant with them for an engineering study. So that's coming up. We're not just sitting on our laurels, it's something's being done with
Speaking of an engineer, if you don't mind, I'd like to have Mike go take a look at the structure of that building. I mean, he's a real engineer. Let's get realistic, you know.
it. Yeah, he's very intimate with that building. He's been there.
Exactly.
I've spent a few years.
He also knows there's a septic system inside the building. I mean, there's a lot of things that are unique to that property. It's built below the natural grade, as you will. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things and you well know them. That's why I'm asking.
Sure.
If it'd be something that might be okay that Mike could go there and
Sure.
It's
take a look.
also double walled.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah, she'll still stand a hurricane.
Yep.
Yes, it will.
And many a time you kind of check it out there.
Yep. All righty. Item 13 is the review of the state of emergency. Mr. Rush, if you would, please. Hopefully next month we won't have that.
All right. So today is day 118 of COVID-19 here on Chincoteague, and it's day 109 of our local declaration of emergency. Certainly a lot happened in those first 2 to 3 months. Now our day-to-day has certainly slowed down. We've not let our guard down. You see that the numbers, 10 confirmed cases here in the 23336. And again, I will let everybody know, that's only for those folks that claim Chincoteague as a residence and they have an actual post office box or mailbox, they get their mail here. So if it's anybody that's living here for the summer, 6 months, 8 months, whatever, they may not show up in our numbers. But right now, what we know is we have 10, or had 10, confirmed cases here in the 23336 zip code. You saw today the number stayed pretty same in the report. We're still running at a 6.1% incident rate over a 7-day period, which is starting to flatten out again. We had went down to 5.7, rose as high as 6.2, and now we're starting to see a flattening. Certainly, some of the numbers may be a little askew because of the holiday weekend. I don't know what the labs are reporting based on that, so in the next few days, I wouldn't be surprised to see a few extra numbers pop up as far as the entire state goes. We've had 177 folks tested here again in the 23336, so there's certainly been a lot of tests administered for those 10 cases. So the message, and one good point is today there were no new deaths in the Commonwealth, so that's a really good number to look at. But the message is still safer at home. You've seen in some of the other states some of the outbreaks. Right now in our BDH conference call today, the biggest age set that seems to be the problem is 19 to 34-year-olds. So I don't know if they're feeling a little more rambunctious these days and getting out, but certainly that's the age group. We're still concerned about those that are in that population of either being infirm, elderly, and certainly young children. They've had a few problems with young children along the way, but for the most part, Virginia right now seems to be doing fairly well, but here locally we're certainly doing well. And as long as people will continue to follow the rules and guidelines and take that self-responsibility we continue to talk about, hopefully we can weather this. They did caution us today that there is a second wave coming. Don't know when that second wave will be, but a lot of it is hinging around the fall time period with colleges. And your grammar school is going back in session. Of course, there's a lot of different plans out there of what that's going to look like, staggered scheduling and stuff. So certainly we're not out of the woods yet. If you look at some of the other places, we definitely don't want to let our guard down yet. But as far as the COVID goes right now, we are doing fairly well here on Chincoteague. Like I said, the public, that's where it lies right now. The responsibility lies with the public. So as long as the public's doing their part and taking that self-responsibility, maybe we can continue on these low numbers. With that, PPE certainly is a lot better than it was 2 months ago. Every now and then we still find some issues getting PPE in, especially now on the EMS side of the house, because we were able to use an N95 mask unless we encountered a presumptive positive patient. We could in fact use a mask for an entire 24-hour shift. And now with the weather the way it is, you might get through one call with an N95 before you have to change it. So we are definitely seeing an uptick in the PPE usage. One, because of the weather. Two, because of the volume of calls that we're starting to receive. So that's problematic. The other big problem that lies on our horizon is hurricanes. This is also a point of that next wave. If we were to have 2 or 3, or even 1 for that matter, storm, and shelters had to be opened, whether they be opened in our local region over in Arcadia High School, Nandua High School, or even across the bay, Norfolk, Portsmouth, that's going to be a real contentious site for the spread of COVID, because there's no way to spread folks out in those situations. The state and FEMA are looking into utilizing hotels, motels to house folks. So certainly none of ours would fall under that, because we are in a flood zone, a zone A. But other areas, and even on the mainland, they may be able to go in and contract with motels and hotels. So at least you could put a family in a room and have them separated. So, stay tuned. Let's hope this is not going to be a busy season. But in your report that I sent you this morning, Edward is rapidly moving out. We don't have to worry about. Dolly may be forming in the next 5 days. None of the models do well, especially when low pressure goes across land. So until it emerges out into the Atlantic late week, we won't know. Could be a nor'easter, could be hopefully nothing, or could actually then turn into a Faye, I think is the F storm, Faye, for this year. So, any questions on the COVID?
All righty.
Alrighty, thank you.
However, I would like to make a motion that we come out of the state of emergency.
I'll second that.
The only discussion I'm gonna put forth is that it's much easier to stay in it than to go out of it. Just for instance, if we were to have a hurricane, since we're already in the state of emergency, it would be easier for us to get things moving. Whereas if we were not in the state of emergency, we would have to get in the state of emergency retroactively. Right, Brian?
So, Mr. Mayor, yes and no. My recommendation would be that we stay in the state of emergency, but not for the fact of a hurricane, because we would declare a separate state of emergency if we were in fact to have a nor'easter hurricane or another incident that occurs here on the island. We would declare a state of emergency for that incident. The reason that I would recommend that we stay currently is because the entire state, of course, is still under the state of emergency. All the other localities are still under a state of emergency, but mainly if we were to have another outbreak, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, we have that state of emergency in place. We have the FEMA PA money that we're tracking in place under the state of emergency, so we can easily streamline that, add anything from tonight through to 4 weeks from now if we were to get an outbreak, and keep that funding stream. If we were to go out of it, we would potentially lose that funding stream until we went back into the emergency again. So again, do we have an emergency right here on the island right now? No. If I told you we did, then I wouldn't be telling you the truth. Do we have the potential? Absolutely, we have the potential, and that's why I would recommend that we stay.
And Brian, let's just say we go out. Just say we get 2 more votes to go out. All you have to get to go back in is the consensus of the council. Is that correct?
The consensus of council in 45 days. So the mayor can declare a state of emergency an hour from now, and then within 45 days, the council has to reconvene and vote for
But
that.
it isn't that you need to get the consensus off the start unless you can't get the council together. Isn't that correct? Have you got that with you, that 43?
It says that at the next regular meeting or within 45 days with the concurrence of council.
Consensus of the council.
Yes.
Yeah, put that up. If you could put that up on the screen.
What's your reasoning, Dean Wayne, for wanting to go out of it?
It's back to regular rule, council rule.
What's
Again,
different?
I've got
what's
Author,
different
I've
in
got
the
a
state?
motion on the table.
Yeah, and we're discussing it, Gene Wayne. I'm asking you why. I think it's a legitimate question.
Okay, just like we find out that there's police at the bridge by constituents. Everything is done from here. And I'm not fussing you've done anything wrong. This is real easy. Let me go real easy. The town, people were concerned about getting the COVID. Miss Ellen and I were sitting right back here with Jim West. We wanted to try to get a council meeting together, to meet together, to see what we needed to do. And Jim says, no, there's no more meetings after we elected Mike as the town manager. He didn't want to be done with meetings, you know what I mean? So everything was done with just a few people. Miss Ellen was right in her stand. We need to do things together. We need to make decisions together. And I feel that same way. She said, no, Gene, we need to do it together. Not just 4 council people need to do something, we need to do it together. And I totally agree with her, and that's where I'd like to go back to.
So we're meeting together tonight.
Let me put that up there. Did Did we ever even get a consensus to
Yes.
go? Where we got consensus for this council to go into it?
To go into the state of emergency?
Yeah.
We voted on it one night in a council meeting.
March 19th,
Did we vote for the 43 point for the state or for to go into it?
you voted for the declaration of.
That's what I'm saying. We voted for the declaration.
Do you think we've done something
No.
illegal or wrong, Gene?
No, I've got a motion on the table.
And we're discussing it.
Okay,
You
that's fine.
have to discuss it, Gene Wayne. If somebody on the floor wants to discuss it, you gotta discuss it.
We got
And
a
I'm
motion.
wondering why.
We've got a motion and a second.
We also have discussion.
And I've gave my thing. I gave mine. I think we all, before something goes out there, like police at the bridge or whatever it is, closing down motels, we should be able to do that together.
Gene,
tomorrow-
I didn't think of this on my own. It's in the state of Virginia code.
I'm not knocking that, but we as a council did not agree to shut down motels, have police at the bridge, did we?
And
Tell me if
we
we
have
did.
a-
Tell me if we did.
Okay, Gene, when we have a hurricane,
That's not a hurricane. We have
it's
cell phones.
COVID.
Right, but we
The
have
whole
cell,
country shut down.
we have
Gene.
cell phones and we can talk to each other.
We
Tell me
did
if we
talk to
can.
each other. We had Zoom meetings.
Did we, as a council, have police officers, agree to have police officers at our bridge?
No, because I
No,
was
that's
in
all
charge,
wrong.
Gene.
That's
of state of
exactly,
emergency.
that's exactly.
And is that a problem for me, the mayor, to be in charge during a state of emergency? Or do you want to put handcuffs on me when I'm trying to do my job? Because you didn't get to do it.
I didn't ask to do it.
You are asking to do it, Gene. You're wanting to go out of a state of emergency so you can have a hand in it. We went
I
into
think-
the
I
state
think-
of emergency
I think we
so
were-
we wouldn't have to have this conversation.
Again, I say I've got a motion and a second. I will wait for it to be voted on. That's all I got to say.
I will ask a question on the funding. The way I understand the FEMA funding, that's dependent on the president's declaration of a state of emergency,
That's correct.
That's kind of, and then the state funding the state disaster funding would be dependent on the state's declaration of the state of
Yes,
emergency.
the state would request through the president for a presidential declaration.
Right.
And then that FEMA money would be at 75%. We'd be responsible for the other 25%, 25% of the funds that we have expended.
Right, so whether or not we're in this state of emergency as a town, I don't see how would that affect our ability to get the reimbursement.
So it would not affect to get our reimbursement up to this point at all. We would still be eligible because we were under a local state of emergency. We would be eligible up until you vote whether to go out of the state of emergency, or if we stay, there's no issue. But if you go out of state of emergency, the point that we go out of it to the point that we come back in for the same incident, which would be COVID-19, could be unfunded during that time period. So if we had any other expenditures, cleaning supplies, PPE, if you had anything like
Right, I
that.
understand what you're saying.
And
but how-
I don't see anything like that right now, you know.
But
to be
how is
honest.
it, our state of emergency bearing on that based on, the funding is based on the president, the governor's state of emergency?
Right, so when the state submits documentation, they will then submit documentation that says, okay, the town of Chincoteague, being in the state of Virginia, was eligible for COVID-19 relief through FEMA PA up until, if the vote were to be to go out of the state of emergency tonight, up through July 6, 2020. So there could be funding available post July 6 if we even spend any. We may not even spend any more funds on COVID if everything continues. But if we were, until we go back into that state of emergency, we could be, again, not set in stone, but we could be at risk of losing any additional funding post July 6, 2020.
Ryan, do you have any idea, like right now, what we accrued?
So we've been working on numbers department-wise because they keep changing with the CARES Act that's come out. Some is eligible under CARE, some under FEMA.
Right.
The latest that we had that I know the chief put together, Director Spurlock put together, we're somewhere around $8,500 right now.
Okay.
And again, that's a rough estimate right now. So believe it or not, we've done very well. We've been very fiscally responsible,
Sounds like it.
considering all the actions that we've had to take. So it's not a lot of money in question up to this point, although, given our financial state with, COVID and post-COVID, 8.5 is still quite a bit of money.
So all your PPE and things like that, those kind of expenses all roll into this?
Everything will roll into that. Anytime we had an officer delivering information to hotels, motels, all that's counted. Anytime we had any office staff doing anything related to printing and or issuing statements via media, all that can be claimed by the half-hour rate.
So just to be clear, so if council were to vote to go out of state of emergency tonight, and there would be some kind of new event, then we could go right back into a state of emergency if necessary.
You could go back into a state of emergency, that's correct. You wouldn't be able to take any further action until you went back into
Right.
that state of emergency, but you could go back into a state of emergency.
Okay.
And Brian, if I may, I'm still spending 8 hours of labor 7 days a week.
Cleaning.
Which is not in that number.
Right, so again, there's
That's
some.
for the bathrooms.
For the bathroom.
Okay.
And the office up here, during the week while it's open.
To me, that's self-explanatory. It says our local government may be declared by the local director of emergency management with the consent of the governing body of the political subdivision. In the event the governing body cannot convene, my statement doesn't say we could have convened, because it's not like we've been struck by an atomic bomb or waves have taken us far away that we couldn't get together.
You did convene March 19th. You voted to have a local emergency declared on March the 19th.
There's no way to get a verification that we wouldn't be eligible because we're out of the state of emergency.
No, not tonight, I can get that.
No, I understand that, but I mean, this is what I'm curious about, because I've held this argument, even if we come out of state of emergency for governance purposes, I still hold the argument that we're still under a state of emergency because the governor overrides what we're doing anyway.
That's correct.
The whole time.
Just because we come out doesn't mean you can allow the whole island to go back to normal. You're still under a phase 3.
We're still under a phase 3
Yes,
with the
you are.
governor of Virginia.
You can never be less restrictive than the governor. You can be more restrictive,
Right.
which initially we were more restrictive, but right now we are as restrictive as the governor.
Right, and I think and the reason I seconded it, my issue with the whole thing was that we're using our storm management protocol for a pandemic is what we've been doing, which I'm sure a lot of other people have been doing. I think our underlying is our emergency operations plan needs to be amended, which I believe that happens soon.
Every 4 years. It'll happen again starting in January.
In January, that needs to be amended, because I don't think, with the pandemic, we were never in a position where we couldn't meet, really, in reality. With the new Zoom technology and so forth, we were able to continue.
So in order to convene, you're correct, we could convene, but you have to give public notice for a council meeting for 72 hours or 3 days.
Right.
So some of the decisions needed to be made rather robustly and hastily. So again, that's where the state of emergency allows that to occur.
But even with the pandemic, we made them, some of them robustly and quickly, but we had timing. Like some of our decisions came at the last minute and so forth, where we knew they were getting ready to happen, to turn over.
Yeah, some of the governor's decisions unfortunately forced our hand at the very last minute.
And he's done the same thing to us, because he makes these last minute changes and so forth. So he's
Yes.
handicapped us in that respect.
We have, our hands have been tied in some aspect.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion, and it's been properly seconded to go out of the state of emergency. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 4. Those opposed?
I do.
And
Because,
1,
why?
Please.
Because when we had Sandy,
mhm.
the town had to expend the town's money for cleanup, trees, and all kinds of stuff. I don't know if we ever got the money that we were supposed to, I'm thinking, where hard it go. Did we?
We did, we got it through BDM.
We got to be them. So that concerns me, that, as Brian is saying, will we be able to get the funds? That's why I said no. Because I saw what happened in 2012.
All righty. Miss Ellen, you're next on the agenda.
Okay, here goes another one. This is on the town's chain of command. I just wonder, where does the council, where are we at in this chain of command? If, say, okay, I'm the chairperson for Public Works. If I need to go to Harvey and sit down and talk to him about what we're gonna be bringing up, by that chain of command, I can't do it. Or if I want to go to the finance director and ask her, how much money do we have in our fund? And have we had any new donations given? I can't go and ask her. I have to go, and this is no reflection on Mr. Talbot, but I have to ask him, then he has to ask them, and then he gets back to me. So,
Looks
have
like-
you thought about this before?
Actually, no, this is the first time I've seen it.
Okay, it's in your handbook, it's in the handbook that was, approved March of 2018. It's in your personnel. So is this chain of command for just the employees, or how about us? How does it affect us? I mean, it's not something we have to decide tonight, but we need to talk about this.
Right, well, I'm in the same ballpark y'all are. By this chain of command, the only person I'm supposed to talk to in town is the town manager.
Right.
And chief of police.
And chief of police, and chief of police.
And the chief of police, we can, it does say here, now, it does say we can talk to the chief of police and down his line. But, like I said, a lot of times, Harvey asked me, do you have anything else you want to put on the agenda? We have our public works meeting. So that means I couldn't do that. I couldn't ask, or he couldn't ask me.
Well, to the best of my knowledge, we've never had that problem.
No,
Have you ever had anybody say, wait a minute, especially a head of, Harvey or Robbie, say, wait a minute, you've got to go talk to the town manager?
no, I've talked with our town manager, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, he said if there's anything that I needed to know about the town's business, ask him, and he would ask them. So that's where I'm coming from. It was a shock, because that's never happened before.
Yes, sir.
If I can address this.
Go ahead.
I've been in this situation before in other organizations, obviously. The organizational chart looks very similar, okay? I've been here a little over 2 months. When I came here, I was not naive enough to think that everybody was gonna come to me and ask me everything. This is Chincoteague. It doesn't even happen in Accomack County, not with the Board of Supervisors, not with the school board. It's certainly not gonna happen here. We've all known each other forever. And I apologize, Ms. Ellen, if I gave you the impression that you couldn't talk to anyone else, but that was not my intent. I did ask the staff, and I, being on the staff before, did the same thing. I said, if you have a council person or the mayor ask you something, if it's about business, I would appreciate it if you let me know. Didn't say not to talk to them. I said, I'd just appreciate if you let me know. That way, if I need to know something, I'm a firm believer in the captain goes down with the ship, and if the captain goes down with the ship because he doesn't know something, that's bad. All right, now, I'm a firm believer, I'll go down with the ship every day, doesn't bother me at all. But the captain needs to know everything going on the ship, that's all. But I was not naive enough to think when I came here that my staff wasn't going to talk to council persons and vice versa, and I'm fine with that, that's great. I just would like to know what's discussed, so that if something's decided and outside of my earshot, and then I hear about it at a council meeting, I say, whoa. That's not the way the ship should run. The captain should know. I can tell you, being on the staff of the school board for 20 years, I had board members calling me all the time. But the first thing I did when I hung up the phone was call the superintendent and tell them, hey, so-and-so just called me, asked me this question, here's the answer I gave them, here's what we discussed, just so you don't get blindsided in a meeting sometime. It's common courtesy between staff and superintendent, and I practiced that religiously for 20 years. I asked for the same courtesy from my staff here, that's all. Please feel free to talk to any member of the staff, any member of Public Works, Police Department, I don't care. I encourage it. I just would like to know if it's something of any substance, you know, so I can be included too, that's all.
Yeah, I get that, I understand that, but it kind of hit me, because you know yourself, I think I was probably one of the first ones that wound up in your office with folders full of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you need to know this.
Mm-hmm.
I get it when it says as far as personnel, employees and stuff, I get that. I don't need to know personnel business, unless it's bad, but it's not gonna be one of those, it's gonna be everybody's gonna know it. That, I'm a firm believer, if one person knows, we all need to know.
Exactly.
But it just didn't hit me just right, and I thought, am I wrong? Am I doing this wrong?
No, ma'am, you're not wrong at all. But I will say, the organizations that I've been a member of, the organizational chart looks the same.
Yeah.
It looks the same. This is formal. In practice, it doesn't go that way. And like I said, I was naive enough to think that it would. Nor should it, obviously. In order for the council, who does not work in this place 24/7, and we see you more, Ms. Ellen, than we see everybody else.
That's what Mayor Tark said.
In
Outside of
order
him
for,
and me.
in order for the council, and it was the same thing with the school board, it's the same thing with the board of supervisors, to get a good feel for the organization, sometimes it's helpful to go out and talk to 3 or 4 steps down the ladder and say, how are things going? Otherwise, you can't get a feel for what's happening. And
Exactly.
I agree with that. I have no problem with that.
Right.
If you go back and say something to Edwin one day and ask Edwin, and just picking out Edwin here, what's happening with this truck or that truck, that's fine. Next time Edwin comes in and says, by the way, Miss Allen's here, she asked me about the big truck. I said, great, thank you, appreciate that. That's all it is. By no means did I mean to say that you had to come through me to get to any member of the staff. That's not the case at all.
Maybe I took it wrong, but I felt that.
Well, you know me well enough, you can come and ask me, and I'll certainly.
Well, I respect, you're not my elder, but I respect authority.
I appreciate it. But that was my intention. I apologize if it came out wrong, but yeah, like I said, as a council, not working here every day in order to get a feel for things, please talk to the staff, talk to people in town. I mean, that's the only way you get a good indication of the entire organization and the health of the entire organization.
Because I'm a firm believer, if I know it, then the rest of you should know it too. You can draw
Absolutely.
your own conclusions from it.
Absolutely.
But I didn't keep it a secret. That's driving a school bus, that's teaches you to be honest and be right up front with them.
All righty.
Thank you, Mike.
Any further discussion on it? All righty. Next on the agenda is the comment. I'll start to my left, Mr. Reed.
I got 2 things. Well, I guess they both kind of are for Harvey. On the bike path down through by Dollar General, when you come over the bridge, the end of the bridge towards Chicken City Road, it's about 1.5 inches or more lip there. And I don't know if we could put some cold patch or something there to smooth that out for bicycles. You know, if a small child on a small bike with small tires could
We can absolutely do something.
could go down on that. It's just something I noticed riding my bike through there. And then in response to Mr. Thomas with the boat trailer, I went to Memorial Park. That's the closest ramp for me. Went there Sunday with the 6x6 being removed. The tide was low. Never had a problem last year getting my boat off the trailer whatsoever. Tide low, tide high, it didn't matter. But one thing I've noticed with the new construction of the ramp, the pitch of the ramp is completely different than what it was. Completely. I'm talking a difference of probably 8 to 10 or 12 inches higher at the bottom than it was before. I cannot, even with my small boat or the bigger boat, it doesn't matter, I can't even get the bunks on the trailer wet on a low tide. So that in that case, there's no way. I put my boat trailer down the ramp yesterday. The back tires of the tandem axle went off the ramp. I was afraid to let the front ones go off of the fact that I wouldn't get back up on without tearing the trailer up. And I could not get the boat off the trailer whatsoever. I had to leave there, go to east side where there was no parking left. And that ramp is so steep that my trailer bottomed out coming over the lip, going in and out. Which I never used east side before because it was always too steep, I thought. But this one, Memorial Park, was the biggest waste of money we've done as far as the boat ramps go. That thing is completely ruined and it has to be redone as far as I'm concerned. For the main reason, like Mr. Thomas, his problem is he was trying to get deep enough to get the pontoon boat off, and I know his boat in particular, and it's a big pontoon boat. It's not your regular aluminum pontoon boat. This is a big, heavy fiberglass. It's a great big one. This thing's really heavy. That's why his trailer is so expensive. It takes a special trailer to carry this boat because of the weight. But I do know that the ramp used to be the busiest ramp on Chincoteague on a Sunday or any given weekend. Only because it was 4th of July, the parking was kind of filled up Saturday and Sunday down at Memorial Park. But that ramp on any given weekend prior to 4th of July had maybe 4 boat trailers at it because nobody can seem to get even small boats off. I don't know what they done when they changed it, but I can tell you I've used that ramp my entire life and never had an issue until this thing has been replaced, and the pitch of it is definitely off. Because I mean, even my little boat the bunks won't even get wet if the tide's down at all. I don't know. I don't know if it's something that we could go back on somebody that done it or what the deal is, but it needs to be addressed because it's basically useless for anybody with a boat of any kind of size to it. I watched a guy right before I went to put mine in the ramp. He backed his trailer down. He backed so far down trying to get his trailer, the bunks wet, that he put his van in the water trying to get his boat on, and he gave up. He said, he told his son, he said, "You drive the boat to the harbor, I'll drive the van and he said, "I can't pull." He come up to my window, he says, "Good luck getting your boat off." And I was like, "Yeah, okay," you know, didn't think anything of it. And sure enough, I couldn't get my boat off the trailer after he told me that. So he had to make special trips. He had Virginia plates. I don't know if he's from here or a visitor here. I mean, but regardless, you know, he couldn't get out with his family. His whole family was there, and they couldn't get their boat up when they wanted to, without an issue. So that's something that needs to be addressed at some point. I don't know. Obviously, now's not a good time. We're in the middle of the summer season, but next winter, if we have any money in the budget or in the harbor funds or whatever to take care of that ramp, that needs to be redone. And when we do this, if we do, add another 8 feet to the ramp. There's no reason not to add on to that. I mean, that's one of the main problems. But the pitch, I've talked to multiple people, and they're all saying the same thing I am, that the pitch of the ramp is not the same as it was. So that's all I have. And welcome aboard, Bill.
Thanks, man.
Wayne?
Yeah, welcome back, Chris and Billy. Like I say, thank you for being willing to serve in this tattoo. And I enjoyed our time out there with you. He's laughing. I really enjoyed my time.
He enjoyed your food.
And the food was great. Yeah, the food was great. But like I said, it is nice to know. And I'll say it too. If somebody, it wouldn't even been the same. I don't even know if it even been an election if you weren't there. It sounds stupid, but if you don't have people willing to put themselves out there to serve, then guess what? We're going to get real complacent up here, aren't we? Real complacent. So thank you for just to have that person that, and whether you believe it or not, you did very well. Whether you believe it or not, you did very well. But I'm telling you, if you're not willing to put it out there, or nobody else is willing to put it out there, that gets crazy. That's when it gets crazy. And thank you.
Pat, thanks for bringing up about the contact list, because I was going to bring it up myself, so thank you. And Mike, thanks for taking care of that as well. A couple things I had is Harvey, I was actually on the bike trail the other night as well, and you guys have done a great job. That is really a jewel for the island for sure. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy that. And Robbie, I only have one question. As far as like, I know we got a hiring freeze on, but it's a position we've had before. But as far as the traffic control person that we normally have at the bridge during the summer, is that something we didn't do this year because of the hiring freeze?
In the budget we had, we're gonna hire an SO or an SRO, and that person was gonna take care of the summer. And I'm understanding that.
Okay. Okay. I had some people ask about that, and I made that comment back.
We're trying to do as best we can.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I come in and work Saturday, because I know it's gonna be busy, and I'm stuck out there for about an hour. So
I
Saturday.
feel sorry for anybody that was.
The other officers that know that they're,
Okay.
to keep an eye on it.
Okay. That's all I have, and look forward to working with everybody.
All right, Mr. Pott?
I really like that email idea that Pat had as well, Mike. I don't know if, when you do that, if I can get the email on my devices as well. How are you thinking of doing this with the email?
Well, I believe just about everyone, and I've seen the addresses in here, I think everyone has a .gov. I don't think really may not have one, has a Shinkney.gov email address. And I started using them at first to send the council items until I realized most people were using their own private email address, so I switched the group over to private. But I'll go through tomorrow, see who has one, who doesn't have one, we'll create one and get it in gold tomorrow, and I'll send a test email out tomorrow afternoon so everybody gets it.
Will I be able to put that on my devices and that
Should be.
.gov some kind of way? Okay. No, that's awesome.
Phone and iPad and everything should be.
Yeah, and I just want to, been congratulating everybody on the use of the mask and the social distance, and I think everyone's been doing real well still in town, even after a busy weekend. I thought our visitors, you still got a 1% out there that you're going to struggle with, but we've got some pretty good compliance, even with our visitors and our locals. Everybody seems to be really giving it their all to social distance and use the mask and be considerate of others. So, that's a commendation for everybody. So, Matthew, I concur with Matthew on the ramps. That Memorial Park ramp has gotten something new going on down there now. I concur with him on that. We've used that several times as well. So that's all I got.
Ms. Ellen?
Welcome aboard, Billy.
Thank you.
And Dean Wayne and Chris and Mr. Mayor, welcome back. Hopefully we'll have a good year, 2 years, whatever. Matt is right. Sue went down to put her wave runner over there yesterday, and she says she could not get down far enough. There is a big drop off at that. It always has been. It's a hole there.
Not so much anymore.
It isn't?
No, if you go off the ramp there, it's about a 6 or 7 inch drop off the edge of that concrete where they had it formed, but there is hard bottom or mucky bottom there, but it's not as deep there as it used to be. There used to be a real big hole there.
Yeah, because I couldn't swim.
But where the rocks that come out there, they've kind of formed a swirl behind it and kind of filled that area a little bit. Because I can kick mud with the boat, pulling out of there on a low tide.
She wouldn't put the wave runners over. She went to east side. She said that's too steep.
It is.
So she went down to the harbor. She said that is really a
That's the
nice
best ramp.
And you can, one going and one coming. She said she'd never been down over there.
Yeah, that's definitely the best one.
but you're right. That's it.
All righty, well, just echo everybody else, welcome Billy aboard. My condolences go out for your mom.
Appreciate that too.
Spent a lot of time Chester Park growing up with Gary Payton, and your house was, if it wasn't next door, it was close. So we spent a lot of time there, and your mom always took good care of us. And that's it for me. I'm glad to see the island is hopping. Like Harvey said, I think we've had more people here in the past month than we've had in a long, long time. When you ride down the street and every light is on in the houses, you know people are here. They're here. You know, you got lines anywhere you go, so it's a great thing. Glad everybody, now I say everybody, you do run into occasional people who don't want to wear their mask and put everybody in jeopardy.
Got a few of them out there.
But it's, you know, that's one of those things you have to take care of yourself.
I want the fifth place.
Well, apparently there've been a couple verbal exchanges over wearing masks that didn't involve, you know, us, but anyhow. All right, that's it for me. I will entertain a motion to go into closed session to discuss disposition of public property.
Second.
Motion and a second. So I have a motion to go into a closed meeting according to section 2.2-3711A.3 Code of the State of Virginia to discuss the acquisition of real estate. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. See y'all.